a few quick reminders. Good news, this is our last day of the week, so we do not have class tomorrow. Just a reminder. Also, please make sure that all of your week 2, if you owe me anything, please try to get that turned in by this Sunday. Week 3 and week 4 is going to be open through Wednesday, guys. The last day of class is on Thursday, but the only thing that will be open on that Thursday is your final, which is, well, your final, well, I'll talk about that in a second. So it'll be your final, your career plan project, and then obviously your participation question. Now, the good news is starting tomorrow, all assignments open, and I'll make this announcement again towards the end. All assignments for week 4 opens tomorrow. So you get that extra weekend since the week ends on that Thursday to do week 4, right? So starting tomorrow, you can do week 4. The final will be open. You can take the final anytime between tomorrow and next Thursday. My friends, next Thursday at 10 p.m., 9:59, full stop, the class closes. I don't even have access to the classroom. I mean, besides grading, just like you, it closes on me just like it closes on you. So please try to get things done. Please do not try to take the final, in the last hour, because if anything happens to your technology, it freezes up, all that kind of stuff. There's nothing I can do. So just try to get it done within the time allotted. All right. So let's talk really briefly about business writing, because you will be sending your thank you note to your career services for your mock interview. Who appreciated the mock interview with their career services person? Like, was it helpful? Did they tell you, hopefully about what to expect? That's good. That's good to hear. It's really exciting because these career services people, they work with the community, guys. They know, your fields, that's their job. They're essentially sort of like recruiters a little bit, in the sense that they know what the companies in their area wants. So it's good to know your career services person, hint, hint, right? Yeah, they're there to help everybody. But hey, let me go ahead and make sure they see my face, okay? So make sure that, when we talk about this thank you note, that you send it to them sincerely, because, they go out of their way. They do this every single month. Can you imagine? Just like us, they're almost teachers, because they have to see every last one of you guys for this class every single month. So we want to make sure we thank them for their time. All right. So, what is business writing in general? If you worked at all, you may have had to write something, whether it's an email, a letter, or something. You've had to do some type of writing, even if it's nothing more than just being in school. You've had to do some type of writing, right? So, if you remember from primary education, I actually taught language arts, guys, in middle school for like 2 years. It was a nightmare. I loved it at the same time. It was crazy. Okay, let me move past that. Anyway, if you think back that far, you learned the basics of writing, everything from the type of fonts to use. It is a thing, my friends. Like, some companies are really like sticklers about what type of font they want you to use. It used to be Calibri, but somehow Allegri took over Calibri. I don't know what happened with that. Way back in the day, it used to be Times New Roman. Like, everybody had to use Times New Roman. I know that sounds crazy, but it's a thing, right? And people just expect you to know. Like, you can't like send it, if your boss says, hey, send an email to so and so, or write this customer so and such. People just expect you to know what font to use, what size to use, how to structure the writing, right? Nobody's going to tell you this is the proper way to do it. So if you do it improperly, like, how I say people judge, right? So somebody will say, oh my God, this person doesn't know how to write, or they don't know how to greet, they don't know how to close, and they're using the wrong font. Like, people will judge that. So I always say, you don't know what you don't know, but others do. So let that sink in. Try to know as much as you can. I always tell people, you can never go wrong with knowing too much. But I will tell y'all this now. Being a bona fide nerd, I've labeled myself a nerd. Sometimes it can be a bit challenging when you know too much, because then you're looking around and everybody, right? Somebody agree with me. Okay, thank you with that. Because now you start to look crazy because you start to know things that other people don't know, and they're looking at you like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, because I learned it or I read it somewhere. They're like, ah, shut up. It's lonely at the knowledge top, people, but just take solace in knowing that you know. But at any rate, people do judge you if you don't know something. So I say it's better to know something and not need it than to not know it, right? And need it. So how do you write a letter that everybody expects you to know how to do? Well, most letters, if you've ever gotten one in a mail, it comes very similar a little bit to, the structure of a resume. You have to have a heading, you have to have your date, and then you have an address, a greeting, an introduction, body, and closing. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If you can write this, you can write anything. I'm going to let that sink in. If you can write a letter, you can literally write anything. And I'm about to give you a research style writing 101 in like 10 minutes. This is going to be great because I'm a nerd. Of course, I think it's great. All right. So, at the top of every form of communication, especially if it's written, it's always going to be your information. If you think back to a cover letter, a resume, a letter you're writing to someone, you always have to start with who am I, right? So all letters, all forms of writing outside of emails have your information. You always need to let someone know when that communication has started. So you always need a date, right? You always need your information and a date. And then you need to know they need to know who you're addressing the communication to. It could be a big business and maybe you meant it to go to Sarah and Fred got it. So you always want who you're writing to come right after that date. And then, obviously if it's a mail, then you need their address, right? So it's very standard. Who am I? What date did I write it? Who am I writing to? All forms of communication. Now, once you do that, obviously, proper etiquette is to greet, right? Even if your emails, guys, again, people judge. In your emails, get in the habit of greeting someone. I am even guilty sometimes, especially when I talk to my friends. I'm like, get straight to the point. Like, I used to call people and just start talking, and they'd be like, excuse me, hello. I'm like, I'm just picking up from where we left off yesterday. Why do we have to do all that, right? Forget all the formalities. But when you are talking to someone in business, you need to greet. You have to be proper, right? So you need some type of formal greeting, dear whomever it is. Typically, if it's the person, you want to give them some type of, what prefix, whatever it's Mr., Mrs., Ms., if they're not married, but they're an adult. So that is Miss if they're young, MISS. Anything over 20, well, it used to be 21, maybe it's 18 now. It's MS, Ms., right? Unless if she's married, then it's MRS, right? Mister's easy. um, they make the women go through so much, right? But Mr. last name at all times. Sometimes you can put, what the communication is in reference to, but for most times is, the greeting, Mr. whatever. Now, most forms of communication, now watch this, even if it is an email, has 3 paragraphs. And I know from teaching language arts that a paragraph needs to be at least 3 sentences. But in business, a paragraph technically could be 1 sentence, because what is more important is that you are breaking up your thought process. So every form of writing needs to have at least 3 paragraphs. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, what do you put in these paragraphs, regardless of what it is, even if you're writing an email? The first paragraph, you always tell somebody why you're writing. Right away, right out the gate. Think of an elevator pitch. You introduce yourself and you say something, tell me why are you here, right? Why am I writing you? First paragraph at all times. You can be as elaborate as you want to be, but the point is to talk about why you are writing that person. Then get into what you're writing about, right? Why am I writing? In this situation, the person was talking about why you're the best or whatever the point is. I'm telling you why I'm writing. I'm writing you to follow up on our last communication and then tell me what the follow up is. And what It doesn't even matter. The last paragraph is always what we call a call to action, especially if it has something to do with you writing somebody about next steps, even something as simple as an interview. You went on an interview, you're writing a thank you. You need next step. The next step is always who's up next, right? Is it just you're writing to say thank you? Then the call to action will just be, I'm just writing to say thank you, or thank you once again. Or I look forward to hearing from you. Or here is a follow up to the whatever you asked for. Like the last paragraph is always some type of call to action or closing, right? So you always need some closing, either with a call to action or just a simple once again thank you. Some type of salutation, sincerely, your warm regards, whatever, and then your name. All right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, when it comes to um the did it go back? Okay. When it comes to writing, like I said, and this doesn't matter if you're writing a doctoral dissertation. Every form of writing has these 3 paragraphs. So watch this. Let's say I was doing a doctoral dissertation on why the sky is blue. In my writing, I'm going to have an introduction, the body of the paragraph, and then a closing. So let's say I'm going to write about why the sky is blue. And I've decided that there's 3 reasons why the sky is blue. Now, I have no idea why the sky is blue. I have a slight idea, but I'm not going to embarrass myself and start to, state the little bit that I do know. But let's just say I know why the sky is blue. And I've just assumed I'm going to put it into 3 buckets. My first paragraph in my doctoral dissertation, the first section is going to be an introduction, and I'm going to introduce why the sky is blue, right? So in my introduction paragraph, I'm going to talk about I'm going to say, I am writing this doctoral dissertation to talk about why the sky is blue. And the sky is blue for these 3 reasons, right? The body of all my paragraphs, let's say I start with the sky is blue because of the certain temperatures in the air, right? So when I go to talk about the first thing, all the different temperatures in the air that makes the sky blue, guess what? That first topic is going to have an introduction, a body, and a closing. The sky is blue because of the temperature in the air. Then I talk about all the different temperatures, and then I close it out. This is how the temperature in the air makes the sky blue. Now I'm going to talk about the next thing. I introduce it, I talk about it, I close it out. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. Always think 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you can remember that, you can write anything. Now, I know that was a bit overly generalized, but that is simply how writing is. And I take it from someone that's had to write my entire life. I need to, I'm telling myself to quit. Like, girl, just let it go. Give up the ghost. I've been in school since I was 5 years old. Like, really, no lie, guys. And I'm 53. And I have always been in somebody's classroom. I need to give it up. So I'm telling you, that's all you write. If you could think of it that way, you can always get it done. So if you are writing a note, okay, you're Jalea, your information's at the top, the date's there. You're writing Mr. Mitchell. Dear Mr. Mitchell, what does she say? Thank you for the opportunity to interview for the position of hotel concierge with Great Corporation on this date. Why she's writing? To let him know. She can even say, I'm writing to thank you, right? A lot of people do that. Then what does she do? She goes into 1 or 2 topics that happened during that interview. Here she's letting him know that she was enthusiastic about something he said. If you remember me telling you to take notes on that conversation with your mock interview, or when you're having a real interview, always take notes, because what you're going to do within 24 hours, you are going to email that person. We used to have to mail it back in my day. Now you get to email and thank that person for their time. Thank you, Miss Whatever, for the opportunity to interview for this position. Think of one thing that person said to you. If you really want to impress someone, you regurgitate back to them what they're saying. They talk about this in psychology, right? If a person wants to be understood, would you let them know that you've heard what they said by regurgitating back to them what they said, right? It's a great way to get an understanding. If you let your interviewer know that you've heard something that they've said, you've paid attention, talk about it in the body. I was really excited to learn about that new whatever you said that will be part of our project. Your enthusiasm made me even more happy about it, blah, 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 whatever. Stroke their ego a little bit. And then whatever you want to say, because you're truly just thanking them. So it really doesn't even matter what you put there. But if you could think of something to put there, and yeah, obviously you want to be sincere about something they've said to you, that is the icing on the cake. Lastly, thank you again for your time and consideration. Now, in this instance, this person asked the person to follow up with references, follow up with your references. But for the most part, if you've asked them, which you should, what are the, in terms of what are the next steps, something as simple as, you know, um, they're going to be interviewing for the next 2 weeks and then they'll make their decision. That's what you put in your call to action. Once again, thank you for your time. Why is it call to action? Because they said that they will be interviewing for 2 weeks and they're going to let somebody know. So the call to action is you're telling them, I expect to hear from you in 2 weeks. So thank you so much for your time and consideration. I look forward to hearing from you within the next 2 weeks, or I look forward to hearing from you soon. That is the call to action. That's letting them know I expect to hear from you, because it's a courtesy on both sides. You interviewing them, them interviewing you and you taking the time to be interviewed. It is a courtesy. So it's a courtesy to let me know if I didn't get the job. So you can put that call to action. I look forward to hearing from you within 2 weeks. What does that let them know? That lets them know, listen, my friend, if I don't hear from you in 2 weeks, I'm going to follow up, because nobody has time for that. I'm not going to be sitting around hoping and praying and wishing that I'm the chosen one. And then you've already started somebody and they're happy having their first day. And I'm still sitting here thinking I could have a chance. So I look forward to hearing from you in 2 weeks. If not, I'm going to follow up. That sets the tone. They should know that this is business. It's not personal, right? So that is the call to action. If the call to action is they ask for references, or whatever that is, at basic minimum, the basic minimum is I look forward to hearing from you, right? If they say 2 weeks, you can say 2 weeks. If they say next week, say next week, right? Sometimes people even, are a little bit more direct and say, I look forward to hearing from you within 2 weeks, or I'll give you a call. Now, I don't suggest doing that, but I have seen people say that too. It's not technically wrong. I just personally think it's a bit too forward. But that is what your thank you note should look like. Now, even if you are writing an email, obviously, you're not going to put your name at the top, because your email address is basically saying this came from you, but everything else is the same. Same thing, dear Mr. Mitchell, same introduction, body, closing. Still have your information at the bottom though, right? Because that's how an email is done. So you would put your information down there at the bottom. You don't have to put it at the top. And then you send it to them. Something else, obviously, you don't have to put is their contact. So you don't have to put the business address, because you're not sending a letter, right? You're sending an email. But everything else with the email is the same. Make sense? Now, here's what I want to see from you, and I'm just go ahead and tell you what your assignment is. Now, you have to do this letter. My friends, please, please, please hear me. I'm sorry, this email. You are going to send an email to your career services, right? This is not just for a grade. You want to send it sincerely. Thank them for their time. Push that button that says send. Write the email. Push the button that says send. Go to your sent. Make a copy of that sent email and post it for your assignment. It's always going to be somebody in the back that just sends me a piece of white paper saying, or Word document. I don't want to see that you know how to write a thank you note. I want to see that you sent the thank you note to career services. Please tell your friends. Now, I know you know how to write. I want to see that you sent the thank you note. Yes? Everybody understand? Thank you very much. All right. So now, are there other forms of writing? Yeah, you're going to write a lot of different things. You're going to write letters, you're going to write to suppliers, you're going to write to customers. And guess what else? You also need to let people know that you accept it. Let's say, yay, because you're going to get it. We know you're going to get it. We know you're going to be great. You're already great. So when you get that offer, you need to respond back. Look at that, three paragraphs. I'm delighted to start your company, whatever it is you need to write about, because a lot of times this HR person will say, hey, we want to offer you a job. Here's the offer letter. Please attach whatever. You're responding back to that person. Yay, I'm happy to start. Here is the attached offer letter. If you have any other follow-up you want to with that person, thank you again for the opportunity, or I look forward to working with you guys. I'm so excited, whatever you want to say. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But watch this. If you decide that you are going with company A, but you've also interviewed with company B and company C, first of all, scared of you, got 3 interviews, don't be a show off. But secondly, make sure you let the other 2 know that you have accepted an offer. Why do you want to do that? My friends, your industry is very small. A no today could be a yes tomorrow. Just because you've decided to go with company A, it doesn't mean company B or C may not be in your future. So you want to give them the courtesy the same way you want them to give you courtesy, to let them know, because you could have been in the running. Maybe their boss was just on vacation and they were just waiting for him to come back and they were going to hire you. Second of all, maybe you start with company A and things are not what you thought they were, and company B still wants you, but you ghosted them, right? Not a good look. You don't want to burn bridges. So send a note to them, or even maybe they follow up the next day and say, hey, we also want to offer you a job. You still need to let them know. Don't ghost people. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for the opportunity. But I've decided to move on to, a different company. The same way they tell us, a company that more closely aligns with my objectives, right? You give it back to them, but then be gracious, be gracious, be gracious, be gracious. I have worked for companies that I've declined before, but then I went on to work for them. So you never know, right? So be gracious, make sure that you send, I've decided to drop out, because maybe it was between you and somebody else, and you're letting them know, hey, my offer is off the table. Remember, we're negotiating. You're a business entity. You're providing a service. You're negotiating your time. Let someone know that your offer is off the table. Does that make sense? I know y'all are thinking, well, dang, I didn't know it was this. You probably didn't know it was this formal, right? Yeah, this formal. That's how formal it is, guys. So you want to make sure that you're following that. All right. Very good, my friends. Well, guess what? That's it for today. Let me make my announcements again. Number 1, week 4 opens tomorrow. No pressure, but week 4 is very short. Please have all of week 2 done by Sunday. I am not extending week 1 and 2 into the last week. De nada, no bueno. Please do not ask. Get it done now. Okay? Week 3 and week 4 is open all the way to next Wednesday. You have Thursday of next week to do your final project, and obviously a participation question. All right? All I want to know is, what is your biggest hurdle or obstacle that you feel will keep you from achieving what you want in your career? What is your biggest obstacle or hurdle that you feel will keep you from achieving what you want in your career? And how will you overcome it? We know it all changes from day to day, right? All right, y'all. Have a good weekend. See you back here on Monday. Hasta
Have a good
luego.
have a
Have a
good
good
weekend too.
weekend.